Well, good morning, everybody. I'm a little bit early. I thought I'd show you some of the snow outside at the moment. It's absolutely dusty out there. You want to have a look. Can you see that? I'm not sure. But it's been snowing heavily, and all the paths and everything else have been covered up. So it's jolly chilly. Anyway, there we go. Let us make a start. Maybe we'll start in a moment. Good morning, Thekla. Well, it's good evening for you. And good evening, or good morning, Omega. It's a good name for that. Good morning, Stella. Hope things are well with you. It's extremely cold here. Well, it's not so cold, but it's very foggy, and there's an almost complete whiteout out there. I tried to take a picture out of the window, which probably you'll see in a moment. And even the horses have got a thick layer of snow over their backs, poor things. We've had several inches during the night, so all rather miserable and nasty out there. Brother Daniel has gone off into Pontesbury to go and post some things that people have asked for, things like prayer ropes and candles and stuff like that. People wondering what's happened to them. Okay, Vera, I think I might prefer the dark and damp and cold, but minus the snow. It's warmer than yesterday. Yesterday was about -6. Today it's only about -1. So it feels positively beautiful out there. Almost ready for our swimming trunks and the amber solaire. Okay, who is here then? Good morning, Maria. Raining in Romania. Good morning, Judith. You're having a big rainstorm. Good. Well, that's good. It'll dampen everything down. And think of somebody in America who needs taking out into a rainstorm and rolling in the mud. It'll do him an awful lot of good. Good morning, Malengeth. Your holy prayers, Father Alexander. Happy feast also, yes. Good morning, Anthony and Valerie. Cloudy and cold, very wet where you are. Why do I hate snow more than dark rain? Aha, that is probably another story. Let me just close this. I find snow so it brings out a sort of fear in me that it's a bit odd really. When I was a child living in Afghanistan, and there goes the cuckoo clock, so it's time to start, yeah. When I was a child living in Afghanistan, snow would come down very deep. We'd have several feet of snow. The well would freeze up, the power lines would all come down. You couldn't get out. The servants, Barbara and Jan, would have to take great big bins up the road to a deeper well and fill those with water and come back. It was a miserable time, and various people would get caught in avalanches. The passes were impassable, and even when it started to thaw out, I can remember going up the Selang Pass once, and my father was not driving. A man called Mansour, who was our driver, was driving this long wheelbase Land Rover. My father's saying, we've got to put on the chains. He said, no, we don't need to put them on yet. And the back of the Land Rover slipped, and I was sitting in the right of the very back, looking out through the back window, and the whole of the back went over the edge of the road and then came back again, and we hit the mountain on the other side. It only needed to go another, I don't know, few inches, and we'd have got an awfully good view. In fact, we'd have become part of the view. And so there are all sorts of things like that. Even when it thawed, we were involved in a huge landslide, and very nearly got caught up. Well, we did get caught up in it, but very nearly carried away with this enormous landslide. So snow for me, it also whitens everything out, and I'm somewhat colorblind at the best of times. Look out there, there's nothing but white and grey. And then on top of that, I think, coming to this country, some of my earliest memories of the after Kenya, and the beautiful colours, the greens and the blues and the rich colours. And then coming to this country and everything is grey and cold and miserable. There we go. Anyway, never mind. Lots of people turned up. Good morning, Graham, and good morning, Christos, and Beverly, and Gary, and good morning, Father Christopher, your prayers. Good morning, Ian. Must be cold up there where you are. And Natalia, Margaret, Vicky, Michael, good morning. Your tablet doesn't work when it's being charged. Yes, I sometimes feel like that myself. Right, today we're going to be looking at John chapter 4, the last bit of verse 6. Good morning, Dominic. The last bit of verse 6, carrying on to verse 12. And then the great denouement we'll have, God willing, on Monday, which I might have to do not as a live stream, but pre-record. Here we go, as I'm going to be on my way to Lincoln that day. Then, no, I've got, if you hear some clip-clopping in the background, it's because Buster is in here, being looked after by me. He's wondering what on earth I'm doing, talking to myself. Okay, go away, Buster, go and lie down. So, 6b. It was about the 6th hour. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. Then the woman of Samaria said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman?" For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. Jesus answered and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is who says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as well as his sons and his livestock?" There we go. Yes, that's quite a good cross there from Margaret to Beverly and the gobbledygook she was writing down a moment ago. Right, so in this pericope, in this section of the gospel, it is hot, it is sweaty, it is midday. It is a time when all sensible people take to their beds until it starts to go cool. You know the way it is. It's time to pray, time to eat, time to rest. If you go to the Mediterranean now, you'll find that everybody does exactly that. It's rather amusing if you go to somewhere like Greece, then all the churches close their doors, COVID or no COVID, and all the candles get blown out, including the ones that have only just been lit and recycled. They sell the wax back to the manufacturer. And even God takes a nap between about 12 o'clock and 3. Everybody goes to, all right, I'll let you see Buster later on. Everybody takes a nap during the hot part of the day. Everybody, even God. He's not interested in any of your prayers at that time. Go away, he says. I'm having my nap. And so this is not a good time of day to be sitting out in the open by a well on the wall that goes round a well. Midday. This is the time when people don't go around carrying heavy pots. Okay, you just don't do it. Not if you've got any sense. And while the Lord is sitting there, wondering what they're going to bring back from this town to eat, because he sent all his disciples into the town to go and find food, it says in the Greek, "Along comes a woman." I like the way it does that. This woman happens by. Again, it's in the sort of present tense, so it opens up a bit like a film, a bit like Mark does with his gospel. Along comes this woman. One can only presume that so far she's had a bad day. And certainly she's in no mood for being meddled with once she actually arrives at the well. I don't know what's happened. Maybe Echeti Guinea. Along comes a woman. That happens along a woman. Comes a woman, it actually says in Greek. Um, who knows? Maybe she took her water pot back home earlier on and dropped it and smashed the whole lot and had to come back out again, or accidentally tipped it over, or who knows what happened. But she's having to have come back a second time, perhaps, to the well, certainly at an unusual time. She has her water pot, we know that, because later on she leaves it behind. And that would be a very heavy thing to carry around. When I lived in Haiti, I used to see women walking up the hill to where there was a spring where I lived. I lived in Pétionville, just outside Port-au-Prince, and up this long hill. And as you went up towards the top, there was some sort of spigot from a cistern, and people would go up there and they would collect water from there. And we would have jugs and glasses of water just outside Maison Orthodoxe, that if they wanted to, they could stop and drink some water on the way up. Then on the way back down again, they'd be carrying this heavy pot of water on their heads. Okay? It could be Vera because of her reputation. But the church fathers are in disagreement about that, so I'm leaving that out. Even if it was, she wouldn't go at midday. All water carrying, from my memory, and seeing people in Africa and the Caribbean and even Afghanistan, all water carrying is done straight after it gets light, when it's still cool. You can just see your way. You go and collect the water then. You don't wait until the sun comes up, and you're not only carrying something heavy, but you're also hot and sweaty. Nobody wants to do that. Okay? And then also in verse 7, the second part of verse 7, we have this other thing here. Jesus says to her, give me a drink. He actually says, give me to drink. Okay, give me a drink. And because his disciples gone away into the city, into this little town actually, only 500-600 meters across now, if it's the place that we think it is. And here we have an example of the evangelist re-emphasizing now the humanity of Christ. As we said yesterday, up until now, he's been talking mainly about the divinity of Christ, but now he's making it clear to us he's also human. He is tired and he is thirsty. Like everybody else who's been on a long trip, he's tired. Like everybody else, in the middle of the day, he's now thirsty. St. Augustine, it's interesting really, St. Theophilus makes that point very strongly. St. Augustine then goes on and says, yeah, but what's he actually thirsty for? He's thirsty because he wants to, he thirsts after her faith. He can see this is somebody or other that he can work with now. Okay? And then the woman of Samaria says to him, and it's interesting the way that she's asking this. Okay? She's saying, where's the effect of, ho, ho, I see. So just because you're thirsty now, you can accept a drink of water from me, a Samaritan, can you? You Jews, you know very well you never accept anything from us, but here you go. She's not possibly in the best possible mood, and we get a bit of that a little bit later on as well. Okay, now, as St. John Chrysostom says, actually, the Lord shouldn't have asked her, but he did. He shouldn't have asked her because she's quite right. The people, the Judeans, it actually says in the Greek, the Judeans didn't accept anything from those disgusting, heretical, blasphemous Samaritans, as they would have seen them. Okay? I think, Thecla, we've all had days like that. Okay? He should not have asked, but he did. So St. John Chrysostom says, why did he do that? He did so to show his total indifference to such observances and to abolish them for the future. So nobody is going to be unclean. Everybody is going to be clean. Everybody is the sort of person that we can receive water from. We're not going to make fusses about that. The gospel is going to be open for everyone. He has, after all, through need, gone through Samaria. And the need means that it is God's will that he goes through there. It's actually far quicker to go a different way. A bit like going from here to London via Norwich, which would give you a big dog's leg of a trip, miles out of your way. Okay? Well, the woman, she's the tone of voice, she's had enough, really. Okay. And in verse 10, Jesus now forgets all about being thirsty. Okay? Jesus answered and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is who says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." Now, the fathers say quite a lot about this. In fact, they say, Buster's walking up and down on the ceiling up here. It's only paper thin, so it's making a right racket. Okay? Saying, okay, lots of things to get from here. St. John Chrysostom says, in a sense, the Lord is looking for the well of her heart. He wishes to drink of that well of her faith and her passion. Okay, we know from later on, she's got 5 husbands, had 5 husbands. Secondly, the fathers also say that God does not supply that which is not requested. Okay, she didn't ask for living water, and he's now saying, it's a reflection really of John chapter 16, verse 24. Ask and you will receive. But you don't receive without asking. So you need to ask first. Okay, that's number 2. The fathers make a good point of. Number 3, God will give you more than you asked for. Okay, he's going to give you living water. And you can see here again, we've had that business of John, so going from below to above, from water from the well to living water, from kato to ano. Now, the water in this well, it's a deep well, it's down there. It's not a cistern as far as we're aware. Well, it isn't a cistern, we know what the modern well is. But the Lord is actually offering her living water. In the Greek, what that really means is water out of a spring. And indeed, later on, the Samaritan woman doesn't refer to it as a well anymore, but more as a cistern. I'll give you living water, nice, fresh, clean water, cool, lovely water out of a spring. Master, they will want to see you later on. Okay, so you be a good boy and we'll do that. And then fourthly, we've got, it's a gift of God. You want to be seen now. Okay, there you are. Okay, you're a good boy, but you're making me lose my concentration. Yes, you are. Okay, so okay, good lad. Go down there. Okay, go down. Good boy. Sit down. Sit down. Good boy. A gift of God. So the gift of God is if you knew, he said, the gift of God. So this grace, a gift, something undeserved, unmerited. He's really talking now, according to the fathers, about the Holy Spirit that will be poured out upon all people, that living water. And that living water, that Holy Spirit, is going to completely slake her thirst for the future, her spiritual thirst, and will change her life completely. St. Theophilus says it'll be life-giving to her, refreshing. It'll stir her up to do good works and change her life completely around. Okay? And then finally, part 5 of this little commentary here. Brother Daniel likes being beaten. Living water, fresh, moving water. So it springs up from somewhere hidden. Now, whereas in a cistern, it's stagnant, it's there, we know where it comes from. In a spring, it comes up in a sort of slightly mysterious way. We have springs all over this property here, and you sort of walk along, and there it is. And sometimes there it ain't. Um, and it has this sort of mysterious quality to it. And the little stream up this way, which we call the River Jordan, that never, even in the hottest weather, has always been running. Whereas on this way over here, we've got two little trickles, the one we call the Euphrates and the other one the Tigris. So in between them you have Mesopotamia. Those actually often do dry up. Buster does not want a snack. Okay, so it comes from a hidden source. Meanwhile, the woman says, and here you've got to change her way of speaking again, because she saw, oh, big head. Okay, yeah, I'll read actually what it says here, and then I'll read it as she actually said it. Okay, the woman said to him, Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as well as his sons and his livestock? It makes more sense if you sort of paraphrase it into something like this. So her tone, although she says sir, and a lot of the fathers say here that her tone is slightly shifting. She's become interested, but she's also, I mean, it goes like this. She says, "Oh, then, big head, where do you suppose you're going to get this wonderful water? You who don't even have a bucket? Hmm? You are setting yourself as bigger than Jacob, who found this fresh enough to drink and abundant enough to water his huge flocks of livestock." Okay, so there. Just interesting, actually. It's obviously a big well, or was a big well. You think that Jacob sent his brother Esau as a peace offering 220 goats, 220 sheep, between 30 and 60 camels, 50 cattle, and 30 donkeys. And he also had loads of children, servants, and other things to water as well. So the well must have been giving abundant water, and certainly this lady expected to receive water from the well, and this was a good place to be. I just seen what Judith just said about me. Okay, so, but she is talking in a completely sarcastic way. Ho, big head, really, really like that. Well, the Lord's answer is going to be extremely interesting, and we're going to keep that Lord's answer for Monday, which I'll probably do in a few minutes from now, in reality. Brother Daniel does not need to have a snack. Buster, come here. Come on. Good boy. Where are you? There you are. Okay, by popular demand. No, don't get up behind me. I want you this time to get in front of me. Up you come. This way. This way. Come on. You're a good boy. Come here. Oh, there you are. Oh. Are you proud? Hey, is it because you can see? Buster, are there heretics watching? Are there heretics? You don't like heretics, do you? Oh, there's a heretic. No, calm down. There are no heretics. Okay, none at all. No, none at all, Buster. No heretics to be seen. Okay. There you go. Right, you want to introduce yourself to everybody? Say hi to them all. Hello. Okay, there you are, a good boy. Okay, even if you don't like heretics. Are there heretics? Can you see heretics? Come here. Sit down. Oh dear, he's not scary at all, actually. If he did anything at all, he'd give them a threatening lick. Yes, he's an Arius hunter. Oh well, Tatiana, I'm glad the children are drawn to the screen to see him. He's a nice dog, and he's a heretic buster, yes. Aren't you, Buster? Hey, do you like heretics? Oh. Come here, good boy. Oh dear. Right. That business getting to bark on the word heretic is all brother Daniel's fault, I'm afraid. Anyway, there we go. Okay. He will also say various other words, but I'm not going to say that because I'm not going to say that naughtiest word. Hey, no. Okay. Right. On that ridiculous note, let's see if there's anything. Oh, yes. Sorry, yes. He's got a very deep bark. Rather Daniel looking for a snack. Notice Buster looking for heretics. Heretic Buster, blah, 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 blah. No, Area Santa ferocious puppy is not ferocious at all. He's the nicest kind of thing. Malingus knows what the forbidden word is, but he doesn't like all sorts of things, do you, Buster? Hey? You don't like any funny sound? You don't like people teasing you? You don't even like people looking at you oddly? Hey? No, you don't. You're a good boy. Right. Okay. Right. God bless you all. Your prayers. Please pray for each other. We're still praying for Noreen. I don't know if she's still alive or not. If you could do that. And if you could let other people also to pray for. And I'd like you to do that very much. Okay? What is... Oh, Christos, yeah. This is an important question, really. Worthwhile spending a minute or two on. Christos says, Father, how are we to understand these long dialogues in John as historically accurate events, or more in their theological symbolic significance, or sitting in between? Right, the easy question to answer is there are cats here as well. He doesn't like cats. He doesn't like Roger. Buster, you like the chickens? You don't like the chickens? No? What about Roger? Do you like Roger? No, he doesn't. Okay. Oh no, your poor mother. Okay, we'll carry on playing for Gwen as well. Right. The long dialogues in John cannot possibly be historically accurate. For a starter, some of them take place when nobody else is there. Now, this one here is quite interesting. I think one of the things that John does, and there's a nice little thing that he does here, which we'll come on to really on Monday, but he's done it also with Nicodemus. You've got this dialogue that takes place, and those people would certainly be able to remember their dialogue. So that probably is historic. And the thing that John does, that the convention that he uses, is to start it all up where there is a misunderstanding between the two people. So the Lord talks about being born from above. Nicodemus hears about being born again. And he talks about being, you can't go back into your mother's womb, be born again. So what are we to do? And that then gives the opportunity to talk. Here we have Photini, which is her name, talking about water, and it'll actually end up being a great big talk about living water and her own lifestyle and that sort of thing. Okay, so we have that. But there are other dialogues in John and other monologues in John as well, like the Lord saying enormously long prayers that nobody is there for. Nobody would have heard. They're all fast asleep, and even from the witness of the Gospels themselves, they're all asleep. So those can't be. And what is happening there is they are hello you. John is putting words into the Lord's mouth so that, see what he's doing, he's up behind me. He does this quite a lot, and sometimes I have a cat on the front and a dog on the back. What am I saying? John makes use of them in order to make theological points. Okay? We'll certainly be praying like mad for your mother, Beverly, and Peter, your stepfather. I'll write down his name. So Gwen and Peter. Okay. Okay, right. All right. So that's really what's going on there. Okay, we are going to finish there now. Buster, even you're yawning with boredom, aren't you? Hey, you had enough. Hey, Boyki. So yeah, you go and switch them all off. Had enough. Go and push that thing that says end screen. I can hear noise. I think that must be Brother Daniel coming back. Do you think it's Brother Daniel coming back? What do you think? I think it might be. Huh? Okay. Righto. Okie dokie. You've been teaching other people all about heresy today, Buster. Isn't that a good thing, eh? Right. God bless you. Your prayers. Good night, Thecla. Good afternoon, everybody else. Stay nice and warm if you're in this cold weather. Bye-bye. See you Monday.